In hard, I'm actually stretching his fascia into his elbow, into his shoulder, down to his feet, and then that's enough to start to get him to go. Now, see, I'm not actually stretching him all that much compared to hard, where I'm really stretching into it. I'm not. I'm just touching it, and my awareness goes down to his feet. Once I'm there, I flow my way through that whole connection and it goes. So yield, yield, yield. See? He remembered to yield, right? See? He forgot to yield. All right, thank you for helping me with this one. So there's a question that always pops up in students who are taking the Fascia Mastery course, and it's about how soft, how hard to touch the fascia and to connect with the fascia. A similar question is, are we using intention or are we using force? I say that fascia could be done totally externally, and some people says, it seems like you can do it internally, or that they are doing internally. So how do you untangle these elements? Does that kind of make sense as a question?
Yes,
okay, so they're all kind of related questions, so let's look at it. So put your 1 foot forward, put your hands up and be strong. So let me just look at what fascia mastery is. It's that when he's sitting strong, and it's hard to push him over like this. If I touch his fascia and stretch his fascia, I could begin to move. You could don't give up resisting. You go ahead and keep resisting. And you can see when it starts to fail. See, like he starts to go over like that. So that's the fascia mastery. And I was doing that hard. You felt my effort, right?
Yes, sir.
Come again. And if you watch, you could see my body shaking. Okay, if I don't do fascia, I'm not winning. But if I use the fascia, it takes effort and he's going. So that's one level of fascia. Okay, and I would call that hard fascia control. Okay, and then come again.
Yes,
be just as strong, right? And see, this time you went over sideways, but let me do it again. So here, like this. So this time it's a little bit softer, and that one is a softer fascia control. And the main difference is in how hard I push into his fascia. So I'm directing my weight towards him anyways. In hard, I'm actually stretching his fascia into his elbow, into his shoulder, down to his feet, and then that's enough to start to get him to go. And in soft, I'm touching his fascia, and my awareness drifting through his body. And now, see, I'm not actually stretching him all that much compared to hard, where I'm really stretching into it. I'm not. I'm just touching it, and my awareness goes down to his feet. Once I'm there, I flow my way through that whole connection and it goes. Like I just kind of lean on that. So, how do those two differ in your observation?
I noticed that for the harder one, it seemed to take longer. Because we're exerting more tension.
Yeah.
But for the softer one, I felt more transfer of energy from you.
Just more transfer energy.
It was a lot smoother transfer, and it was a lot faster.
Faster, yeah. So the reason it's faster has to do with when you do it hard, you're doing it physically, and you have to take out the slack. Like you see his hoodie has these drawstrings. If I want to pull him by those things, I would have to take up all the slack until his hoodie is very cinched in and tight, right? Then when I pull, it'll actually move him, right? But at first, I'm just tightening his hoodie. It's not moving him yet, right? We don't have to actually do that. Whereas the soft way, I'm just letting my awareness go along that into his fascia, through his body. So I don't want to pull you on your hoodie strings. Let me use your clothing as an example. So don't let me pull you. Okay. So the full hard way, I'm stretching, and you see that stretch? I got his arm, and it's got into his body, down to his feet, and see, I can start to move him like that. So that's a hard way. And then come again. Ready? Resist. So this time I barely stretched into his arm, just like that, but I feel it down to his feet. See, from there I can move him also. So that one, I'm not mechanically taking up every bit of slack, but my awareness can feel through the fascia, through his clothes, to his fascia, through his whole body. So I've gained an awareness of how his body is put together, how his body conducts force, specifically in this case, the resistance to being pulled. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
So the soft fascia touch is a matter of awareness. Where is my mind? If my mind is on his weight, it won't work. If my mind is on where I'm holding him, it won't work. My mind has to go from here to here to here, all the way down. Then I'll have the full line of force in his body. And once I have that, I can move him. So it's about where your mind is. So in a way, that's where E-mastery, the mastery of intention, your awareness and your intention, overlaps each of the prior skills, each of the prior mastery, about where your awareness, and that's what you gain control or influence over. So for the students, taking the course who says, it seems like I can do it with a very, very soft touch. And that means you have a natural knack for directing your awareness, which is great. For the students who says that I seem to sometimes demonstrate soft, sometimes demonstrate hard, that's because sometimes I'm demonstrating it as mechanically as possible, so you can get started and feel that, even if your awareness is not that well developed yet. But sometimes I forget and I just do it the way I would normally do it, which is like, I just touch, feel, connect, go, kind of all in one step. Does that make sense?
Yes, Sifu. And I noticed that when you do it softer, it's much harder to detect and resist against.
Yeah.
Because I don't feel the force so clearly.
Exactly.
So if I feel it clearly, I can brace against it.
You could brace it. You can also yield against it, even, right? So
Yes, sir.
yeah. So hold your hands up.
Yeah.
So if he feels it clearly, then he could lean. He aligns his body against it. So I have to constantly try and find ways around his weight and resistance to find his fascia, and that's pretty difficult. So yeah, he could resist to it. He could also yield. He feels me leaning, he'll yield, and I can't get him to go back, right?
Yeah.
So all these things are things he could do when you're too obvious, right? And then so he can yield, he could resist, he could lean into it, all that what he wants. But when it's just my awareness going, it's very subtle. He may or may not realize, but I've got him. See, like that. So you can yield if you want. So see here, he's yielding. See, I go this way, I go this way. He's like yielding to all of that. But along the time, my awareness goes through down his body. See, I got him. Like you've got to yield.
Yeah.
So yield. See, he remembered to yield, right? See. He forgot to yield. Is that strange? So it's because when my awareness has infected through his fascia, his awareness gets drawn into by my awareness. It's like the thing we do in EMAS where we take your intention point, and move it around. So initially you have an intention of wanting to yield, but when my awareness invades your fascia, you go, hey, what's happening to me? And you go, that's something weird is happening. And when you think that and you're like looking for that, then you've lost control. You're no longer driving attentively. You're looking at what your what your stereo system is saying or whatever. You've been distracted in a way, and I've taken control of the steering wheel in that moment. So that is the E-based soft fascia control. Does that make sense?
Yes, Sifu.
So you'll see people do it one way or another. I encourage starting with a hard one, because it's easier to feel. Really, you could become aware of that tension, that line of force, that connection. And as you get used to it, then you'll naturally be able to do it more directly, more intentionally. Does that make sense?
Yes, Sifu.
So there were some follow-up questions about the soft and hard and soft fascia control. Okay, and so someone was asking, so when you're going harder and when you're going using your awareness, but what is really happening? Why do they work differently? So let me explain that a little bit more clearly, okay? So give me resistance again, stand firm. Yeah, so don't let me push you. So in order for you to resist me, you have to use your body, your muscle, and stuff like that. And you have to aim it at the line of my force. If I'm pushing you this way, you have to line it this way. If I'm pushing up, but you're not pushing down against me, then you lose your balance. So whichever direction I push him, he has to align against me, right? So his body has to direct its force in the right direction. It also has to feel my force. Part of how it does that is the joint receptors. Part of how it does that is the fascia, which connects the muscles together throughout the body to organize it. So what the hard fascia tapping, the hard fascia control is doing is I am applying pressure to his fascia, which throws off his body ability to measure where to direct his force. And when the measurement is off, when it gets and it grows bigger and bigger and bigger, when it gets too far off, you'll lose your balance. Does that make sense? And that's entirely mechanical. I can build probably a machine that can do that. Like if he goes like this and I got like my car polisher and I put that in, like, or like a massage gun. So if I put a massage gun on this arm while I push on him over here, I could probably make him lose his balance. And I could probably build a robot that will grab him and like jiggle his fascia. Well, no, I can't, I'm not that good of a robot builder, but you know, somebody could build a robot that could do that. Don't want to make false claims on my technical skill. But anyways, so that is entirely mechanical. It is a glitch happening at the level of your physical body because of how your physical body needs to work. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then so when we use E and my awareness goes along his fascia and goes all the way through and finds the fascia connection, and I move him just like that. So I use very little force, right? The classical like 4 ounce to move however many kilograms saying in Tai Chi. So the reason I could use less force is because I'm not fighting his physical body so much. When your awareness infects through the fascia, The fascia is the part of our body, physical body, that is closest and in alignment with our spiritual body. So if you, let's suppose you have a soul, right? He has a soul, right? Let's all agree on that. And then, so your soul looks like you, has a shape of you. And so if you think about it, your soul is primarily an outline of your body. If you were to look inside your soul, does your soul have a soul heart and a soul liver and a soul intestine?
Probably not.
Probably not, is my guess. Okay, so it is just the shape of you. And so the fascia kind of forms the shape of you, and the soul is the shape of you. And what happens is that your soul, your spiritual body, like velcros to your fascia. And if it's well aligned, then you're like in your body and centered and stuff like that. Sometimes you get poorly aligned. Like we could be talking and paying really close attention to me, and then let's suppose Joshua sneaks behind, goes boo, and he goes whoa, and he feels like he jumped out of his skin. Yeah, it's literally like the startlement has made your physical body and spiritual body schism a little bit. What we would call, from our previous discussion, a loss of your zhongding, or a misalignment of your zhongding, of your centering. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, your spirit body, your soul, is the driver of your body, driver of your physical body. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
So as long as you're in your car seat and driving attentively, it's going to go pretty good. But if you lose your attention, you look at the billboard, you look at your cell phone or whatever, right? If your awareness and your spiritual body drifts away from its control of the physical body, then your physical body is on kind of an autopilot and it's susceptible to being moved in a much easier way for me. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
So the hard fascia control is really trying to mess up his physical measurement of his force until it's so messed up that I could start to move him. Okay? And the light one is I'm setting my awareness in a way that interferes with his spirit body's ability to connect with and drive his physical body through the mechanism of the fascia. So I touch the fascia, I feel that through his body, and then we move him like that. So a part of him still wants to resist, but because of the misalignment of your awareness and spiritual body, you're not directing your body correctly, and it's easily moved. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
So one interferes with the physical body, and one is interfering with the spiritual body's interface with the physical body. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay, any questions about that?
No questions.
Does that clear up your question about the difference between them? All right, so thanks for helping me illustrate that. Okay, enjoy your practice.